What's up, y'all? I hope you are well. Happy Easter. Before we jump into this video, I do want to address a couple of you from the last video who mentioned that I should upgrade to some wireless headphones. I do actually have wireless headphones. The reason I wear these for these videos is because I have a microphone here, which is helpful if I'm outside getting some exercise and walking, that I don't sound too horrible with the outdoor conditions when I'm talking to y'all. So, but I do appreciate the tip, keeping me on my toes. What I want to talk to you guys about today, and girls, is there's a lot of conversation going on at the moment about how we are feeling in a funk and having a hard time getting motivated while we're kind of living this quarantined lifestyle. And I totally get it. I'm having the same issues now and again as well. And it's unfortunate because we're at a time where we have this forced freedom or time on our hands to be doing things that could really help us in a lot of areas in our life, and we just don't have the motivation or whatever it might be to do these things. And there's something that I want to address, which is pretty common out there, which is hearing that we need to be more disciplined. I'm a big believer in discipline, and any of you who have been following me for a while do know this, but it's just very annoying to hear. It's, oh, thanks, be more disciplined, got it, okay. Obviously, that's not technically the problem. So what I want to share with you in this video is how we can get the things done that we want to do without answering the problem by saying you need to be more disciplined. Now, when I say this, or when I have this conversation with you about this video, there's two types of people that are going to be listening. And I want to make it clear that I'm not speaking to both types of people. These two types of people are, first of all, the people who really do truly want to be doing, I'll use some examples throughout this video, whether it be getting up early or reading more or building a business at home, meditating, whatever it is in your life. There's two types of people. There's people who really truly do want to be doing these things, where they sleep in and then they actually do really give themselves a hard time for the day because they really did truly want to do it. So there's a person who has trouble being disciplined, if we use that saying, who really do want to be doing these things. And then there's a person who says, I do want to be doing these things, but they don't actually really want to be doing them. They know they should be doing them and they're good for them, but they don't it's not about, the issue isn't about really having the problem of doing them. It's just that they don't truly want it bad enough. So for the second group of people, I'm not talking to you in this video because that's a different problem. There's nothing wrong with that. But the people who I'm trying to address with this conversation and with these tips are for the people who really do want to be doing these types of things and are having a hard time if they're feeling in a slump. And I get it. I've been having some days I'm usually really good at getting up early, and I've just been having days where I wasn't tired the night before, so I was watching a YouTube podcast too late or whatever it might be, that I'm not able to. My first priority is sleeping, and if it comes down to getting up early versus not getting enough sleep, I won't get enough sleep. That's always my first priority. I think sleep is very healthy thing that we all need in our lives. So my personal problem is that if I don't go to bed in time, I don't force myself to get up early because I really value that sleep, and rightfully so. And I'm going to use the example of my personal life through this, because when I don't get up early, and usually I'm very good at it, I'm very hard on myself, and it really throws most of my day right out of whack. Now, I'm pretty good with forgiving myself and not being too hard on myself. Just over the years of personal development, that's an area that I've really been focusing on, because I wasn't always that way. And I'll use that example kind of through here of what we need to do. So aside from, some tips of what we can do to actually make these things happen, aside from just being more disciplined, so to speak, is we have to set ourselves up for success. We have to set ourselves up in an environment that is going to allow us to be successful in doing these things. And a perfect example, again, that I'll use is for myself, is that if it's a bit later in the evening and I'm not tired, one of the things I'll do is I'll watch, like I said, YouTube podcast, or rarely Netflix, but I do watch it sometimes if I'm just kind of really that bored or whatever it might be. That it's not about me just needing to know that I need to get up early. I'm actually having a hard time with it. So what I have to do is put myself in a position that I'm going to allow myself to be successful and have that willpower to do it. And one of the tips that I do for myself is I'll just cut out TV altogether. And really what it does is I get so bored if it's at night where I'm kind of doing what I want to do, that eventually, okay, I get to sleep and it puts me back on track. And this is a really powerful technique to use, where it's just a matter of not relying on your discipline or your willpower to do these things, but actually putting yourself in a situation to force yourself to do them. And then as you get in that routine, it gets easier. You can add these things back in your life. And you can use this same example of cutting out television. If it's something that you want to be reading more, you want to be taking an online course, you want to be meditating, you want to be doing anything else, working from home, exercising, whatever it might be. If you're figuring out what your go-to is and setting your own environment up for success. So in a lot of cases, I think for a lot of us with so much time on our hands, if we're at home, it could quite possibly be television, where if you just literally get rid of your television, it will allow you to be bored enough, probably first of all, that you're going to start reading those books and taking that online course and forcing yourself to do that. And when you take these things away, it's not that you are punishing yourself. And I think that's really, we need to reframe about how we look at these things, because a lot of times these things aren't actually good for you. You know, we want to please ourselves and have these pleasures, but when it becomes, when it's at the risk of not doing the things that you really want to be doing with your life, we have to kind of question whether getting rid of television is actually a bad thing for us, because in a lot of cases, for a lot of people, it probably isn't. If it's a thing where you're drinking too much at home because you have all this free time on your hand and you don't know what to do with yourself, getting rid of alcohol out of the house. Now, I can't promise you that that's going to work, that you don't go to the store. If you really do like drinking, you'll probably find a way, but it will help for sure. Same with eating better. Doing these things, taking the junk food out of your house, where really the technique comes down to setting yourself up. Sorry, it's pretty windy that way. Setting yourself up for success, to live in an environment that's going to allow you to be successful, as opposed to just being more disciplined, because it's not that easy to just, it's just the whole saying, I don't like it. So, it's straightforward, but the idea is that if you do want to start doing these things in your life, this is an incredible time that you could look back on and saying that you've read the books, you've done the courses, you started implementing a habit of meditation or home workouts, or you can look back and say, what a waste of 2 months of my life, where, I sat around drinking or eating or whatever it might be. So, and now here's where I'm going to tie in lastly about the two types of people, because if you really want to get up early, and the problem for why you're not is because you're up late watching television, then you have to say, how bad do I want this? Do I want it bad enough where I'm going to cut out television? Because if not, then you don't want it bad enough. And I can't help someone who unfortunately doesn't want it bad enough. And that's kind of the number one rule when it comes to anything to do with coaching, is to help anyone, they have to truly want it. So it is possible. The techniques for doing it are finding out what is it that's helping you to not do it. So in my example, if I'm up late watching something on my computer, that's the problem. I get rid of that problem and it forces me to have more time on my hands. without watching TV during the day, especially, it gives me time to read way more books, listen to more books, do the online courses and all of these things. So the TV one is a very powerful example that, you know, we could be getting rid of. And getting rid of the alcohol, getting rid of that type of food, but putting yourself in the environment that allows you to be successful. That's how we really accomplish the things that we want to do without just hearing people say to us, be more disciplined. So hopefully that helps. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.